up, everybody? It's your boy Atari HMB, and today we are here gathered in regards to our stream today. Today we're going to be talking about Bleach, and I'm excited to have everyone in here today. So welcome Ans and Mateo. Thank you guys for joining in on the stream right now. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So today's stream is going to be mostly focusing on Bleach, specific matchups, and underrated feats. There's also going to be a little bit of a clarity about Bleach as well that I think is not really considered in most cases of power scaling and minor nuances. So with that being said, I'm very excited. Let's see. All right. So, what do we do? Let's go ahead and have a conversation about this. So, first and foremost, let's give a shout out to those who are participating in our stream today. Just a quick shout out, Nick Imsab, thanks for joining in. Mateo DBZ says, "Oh, Death Battle Yusuke versus Ichigo." That is true. Well, all right. So I will possibly review that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the title, actually. That's a really good topic. Let's talk a little bit about that. And then what we're going to do is, let me see here. Bleach scaling. Watching Ichigo versus Yusuke. And then we're going to assess that separately. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Yusuke versus Ichigo death battle. And let's take an honest look at it and see what actually is going on. I'm going to take a look at it. So here's how we're going to do. Let me see here. Okay, let's see here. Let's see here. So let's go ahead. So here's what I'm going to do. We're going to put this up, and I'm going to leave a marker here on the... So here's what we're going to do, guys. We're going to put this bad boy up, and I'm going to leave a marker here in regards to this. So this is what everyone's going to see, okay? Everyone's going to see this, okay? And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to watch and mark the time periods I'm on. And that way we don't get copyright strike. So if you guys want me to react to it while the stream is going, again, I will have to do that separately, so I don't want to get copyrighted strike. So let's go ahead and take a look. So due to the audio, I'm going to lower it, and then I'm going to take the internal audio, and I'm going to lessen it. So I'm going to watch it right now. Here we go. We're going to watch Ichigo versus Yusuke, and we're going to talk about the nuance between it. Let's go ahead and do that. And then, yeah, let's go ahead and take care of this. I know this is long requested. So, yeah. Actually, yeah, why don't we take a look at that and then see what's accurate about it. All right, so we're gonna take a look and see what they say about Bleach. I'm gonna give some critique. So first, I'm in the 27 mark. Do. All right, Shinigami. Jump that. Let's see. Ichigo, 29 years old, 5'11", occupation trained by Urahara. Let me see here. Invisible one made of spiritual matter called Reishi. Brass amount of spiritual energy. Spiritual pressure. Yup. While Shinigami are invisible, they are not intangible and can be touched by normal people. This was stated in chapter 9 of the manga, though this translation mistakenly says otherwise. If your soul wasn't so... control spirit matter in and around him, hardening his skin to defense. As a soul reaper, you unconsciously gain traction. He can fly. Alright. Anyway. This is the core foundation of the bond between Shinigami and Zip. Okay. And a transformation that blade into their own Zanpakuto over the course. Okay. And as... So for guys who are wondering, I'm on the 2 minute and 33 second mark. Old man and Hollow Zangetsu. Yep. Hold on. They're not fake slow in the right. A powerful spiritual light fired by Minus. Yup. The blinding light swallowed. Diffusing its arrow in all directions would be pointless, regardless of the fact it had been diffused. Other faster-than-light feats include Arinero dodging sunlight, Lieutenants dodging Negocion beams, now evading light borrows light of judgment. His movements are far too different. He left his shadow behind. Okay, good. Now I'm gonna come to that. So let's see. Left his shadow behind, right? This fight is fired though. All right, let's see. He wasn't good enough. Yep, Chushikai. His unexplained hollow power is explained through his mom, but anyway. Alright, let's see here. Old Man Zangetsu really isn't that chill. If you know, you know. Holification exceeds Bankai. Not only did this tremorous powerful shake the vast land of Hueco Mundo, but it reached the beings lurking in the depths. Hellverse. No. Hellverse. So they're using Hellverse. Yep, corridor between dimensions. Aizen had evolved to threaten the Soul King, a deity whose power destabilizes the three realms. Okay. It literally does crush space-time, so it's not like a mini black hole. Boomstick. Anyway. So let's see, guys. Yo, chat, just gonna pause real quick. So if you guys are curious, I am right here. Don't look. Don't worry about the thumbnail. YouTube is just thirst trapping. Anyway, the bottom line is, this is what we're dealing with right now. So if we kind of just, I'm just gonna jump skip a couple of things. So for those of you who are wondering where I'm at, listen to what he's saying. Yeah. You stated Tsushika Ichigo regained the power he used to defeat Aizen, insinuating he reached or surpassed his prior peak. He can nuke all 3 realms. It's over. Both the human world and Soul Society will lose their form and become as one before my power. Yeah, but, however, and this is not a downplay. I'll explain. This is not a downplay, but this is not saying he can nuke. So I don't know why Boomstick is saying he would nuke. He's not saying he can nuke it. Remember, the Soul King is a linchpin. Alright, so it's not the same as a nuke. Just to give a correction on the Ichigo versus Yusuke fight, I would never say Yuhaba can nuke the Soul Society human world in Hueco Mundo. Okay? Specifically because that's not how the Soul King's powers work. He could destabilize it, but he can't necessarily nuke it. This is like, imagine if we had the Burj Khalifa and I said, I can destroy this entire build. I say, I'm going to make this building collapse and it'll lose its form. But I don't actually just blow it up. What I do is, I have control over the 3 major pillars that hold up the tower. And I could just get rid of one, which will cause a chain reaction for the rest to imbalance itself. That's what they meant by linchpin. So, as far as attack potency goes, it's not raw power. And that's made very, very clear in the series when you understand how they've hyped him up and what it's like to be. So, just need to clarify that. Alright. Let's see here. So anyway. Now, I'll explain further, because Ichigo still is the beast. Garganta. Matter of disrupting the flow of souls. He said he's going to end everything through sheer power alone. So the problem is death battles. So the problem they make is they use the statement here. It isn't an issue of the balance between the 3 worlds. Urahara, Bleach, 1,000 Year Blood War, Season 3, Episode 4. But then they say he's going to end everything through sheer power alone. But the thing is, they don't show the scene or the subtitles where Urahara actually says that. And it's not to deny it, but like when you say full power, it's like, yeah, the power of the Soul King. Which again is a disruption not only of the souls, but of the makeup. The human world has material, the Soul Society is made up of reishi. So, and that's been shown in the Bound arc, that's been shown even in Hueco Mundo, where Quincy can gather reishi. That's why people have to be strong enough, or they could just literally take your essence away. So again, raw power, I'm not seeing that. Again, he's not going to nuke it. Now, I will clarify further what that means. Let's see. Yeah, I see you, Mateo. They use movie Yusuke in this as well. Interesting. Yup, Yusuke. Yu Yu Hakusho anime somewhat differs from the manga, particularly the ending, but expands upon the story. Also, we are prioritizing the Japanese manga over the English translation. Good, because the English translation is not accurate. Okay. Technically, she rides on ore, ferryman of the dead, all that, like a witch's broom. Okay. Let's see. Okay. So he can parry Suzaku's lightning arrows. Okay, they bring that up. Which is from real lightning called down from the sky. And with the help of Genkai, he mastered a signature move that can blast anyone to smithereens. The spirit gun. At first, Yusuke had a limited number of shots, but eventually, he turned it into his personal WMD. Stronger than any weapon on Earth. He could finger blast around. Okay. More versatile. He could bounce it off surfaces, propel himself around like a rocket, and produce massive explosions with each shot. He could twist it up for his spirit shotgun, or a spirit punch, where it's stored in his fist. Yup. Spirit wave. Let's see here. He's not afraid to fight 30. Using sleight of hand to place cigarette. I'd call it smart. Hand to hand. Max. You are indeed good. I'm well versed in all forms of martial arts. Yep. That's true. Alright, I'm glad they're bringing up Yusuke's combat skill. Yusuke's power will match stronger enemies. Even if it means burning his own. Demons are even individually ranked. Alright, so let's take a look at this. So you see, here's a problem with this chat. Ready? All known demons and demons fighters. E class, Goki D class. So this is incorrect. Byaku is not a C class. Okay? The reason we know this is because Hiei, when he fought Zero in the guidebook, before using the Dragon of the Darkness Flame, was considered D class. Upper D class. So, let me see if I can find it. Here. For those who don't believe me, Tagashi. Talks about here. Let me see here. Not this one. It's not this scan. Let's see. Let's see here. I'm trying to find it. Excuse me, guys. Let's go to the post. There are statements that show that Hiei used to be a D class originally. And I will show that to you guys. Let's see here. And then Koenma states that Hiei was an upper D class when he fought Yusuke for the first time. So even if E class is not specifically mentioned in the manga like it's shown in the anime, we can infer that those imps Hiei was controlling or the small fry yokai Yusuke beat before are ranked at a lower level. So as you said, it's up to you, your imagination, but if we follow the grading system, the F, Fuka, which means fail, would be the lowest one, maybe. Anyway, in the Three Kings arc, Tagashi also started using numerical measures, which I prefer. Then let's see. Keiko's Cloud. Let's see. That's not the one. Hiei. Jagan. You see here. I'll show you guys in just a minute. I just gotta find it. Here it is. 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 Okay. So, unfortunately, Screw Attack made the mistake of saying Byaku was a C class. Which, I don't know if it's just for effect, but you wouldn't say, you could have used Toya, Jin, or Shu. You could have used anyone else to be that, but they say it here. Here in the Japanese, accordingly, it says Yusuke was invited as a guest to the Dark Tournament. As a yokai who cooperates with Yusuke, Hiei was also called up at the beginning of the tournament. His demon powers were as good as a D-class yokai, but before the final match, which is like against Bui, he gains the ability to match B-class yokai. He has no objections against fighting strong opponents, but the fact that he was forced to participate in the tournament may have made him uncomfortable. But anyway, this here shows Hiei was way, 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 way stronger than Byaku. And if Hiei was still an upper D class with the Dragon of the Darkness Flame, then that implies Suzaku, despite being lightning speed, was only a D class. Upper D class, but it shows that he was not yet C. So it shows that there are, so it shows even if you get like what's implied 5 to 10 times stronger, you're still a D class. So that means the gap between a D class and C class is an order of magnitude. And that's supported by Tagashi when you see the gaps in play. Because remember, Toguro was so powerful as a B class that if you were not at least C class, your soul would melt just in his presence. Because they showed even Kuwabara, who was still weak and could barely stand. So Koenma had to protect him. Which goes to show, in Yu Yu Hakusho, the gap in power is more than just a 10 times multiplier. It's huge. Any questions, chat? What's up, Beyond Birthday? How you doing today? Welcome to the stream. And, no, you're not too late. We're still beginning. But, I like where this is going. I like where this is going. So does everything I'm saying make sense, chat? For the most part. No. No, he's not. Let me see here. Well, as you guys can see here, Kare no Yoroku wa DQ, Yokai Soto Data ga Keshoshin Mani wa BQ, Yokai ni Hiteki Suru Chikara o Eta. So it says his demon power was equivalent to a D class yokai, but before the final match, he obtained power comparable to a B class yokai. So that shows that Suzaku definitely was not. So this insinuates Suzaku was definitely not C class, like a lot of fans like to assume. So the guidebook itself actually supports this. And that's really crazy because that, I mean, you're thinking like, when you compare Yusuke to when he first fought Hiei, right? And then you look at people like Goki who's throwing entire trees and stuff. And then Yusuke and Hiei are having a crazy battle. And by the way, And the OVA, which is canon, Hiei and Kurama, while weakened yokais, were able to fight against a being who's destroying entire towers, like pillars of a building. So, and Hiei and Kurama was still pretty much stronger than them and got even stronger. Then Rando is much stronger than that Hiei and Kurama. And then the same Rando is laughable compared to people like Seiryu. And Seiryu is nothing compared to Suzaku. Yet Suzaku is far weaker than Toguro. Right? So even the 4 Saint Beast are trash compared to some of the assassins they got. And Yusuke and them bodied the assassins. And when they was saving Yukina. And then Toguro, while super duper duper suppressed at only 20%, which, whatever that may mean, Yusuke and Kuwabara nearly died. And even then, Hiei is way stronger than the Yusuke that fought Toguro, like way, way stronger, as shown. And then added the Dragon of the Darkness Flame, which multiplier-wise is probably like more, because the Spirit Gun is confirmed to be at least more than 5 times. It's not a double the punching power like the English says. The Japanese says many. Okay? So it's implied to be at least more than several. So it's at least 4 to 5 times at bare minimum. The Dragon of the Darkness Flame is a higher multiplier than that. And Hiei had to use it as a D class, implying that maybe he was at the border of C class, which you can argue. But it still shows that, sheesh, that's like the gap between the Dragon of the Darkness Flame Hiei in comparison to Goki, or like beginning Hiei, because beginning Hiei was upper D class. Goki must have been E class or like lower D. The gap between a guy who could destroy pillars, pick up trees, to a guy whose Dragon of the Darkness Flame was visible from the entire island. Because if you guys remember, Hiei was causing the entire ocean and island to shake in the anime adaptation, and in the manga they imply that a little bit as well. And he was still D class. So when you look at the order of magnitude there, it goes to show that they are way, 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 way stronger. And it's not. And if I say that an S class is hundreds to thousands of times stronger than an A class, or at least hundreds of times to millions of times stronger than a D class, that's not intrinsically improbable. And why? Because when Yusuke and Sensui made that Spirit Tornado, A-class Kurama, A-class Hiei, and A-class Kuwabara, or upper B-class Kuwabara, and Koenma said if we go near that tornado of aura, their aura alone will instantly incinerate us. So if A classes were confirmed threats to national units in the Japanese manga. Not national unit as in singular, they were a threat to multiple national countries. With that being said, if A-class demons are that damn strong, right? And then you got people like Shunjin from the Spirit Defense Force who can one-shot an upper A-class Kurama and treat it like it's a joke, like he's hunting for deer. An injured Kurama to the point Kurama had to go into a baby's body, Suichi Minamino. That's crazy, which shows the gaps in A class can be orders of magnitude big, just like D class. And the fact that they are so strong as the lowest levels S class, they were so strong that even if you are a multi country busting, pretty much a continental being, going next to them, you will die. So you can't even, if you're not even continental plus or multi-continental, you cannot go next to an S class. So when Sensui says he's planetary, there's mathematical transitive property merit that backs that up. All right. Yeah, a lower S class would basically evaporate the whole Dark Tournament with just aura. Yeah. An A class could do that. An A class could do that. I don't think the anime specifies each class. Yeah. Are Toguro team and Urameshi team the only B class in the Dark Tournament? Yes. That is correct beyond birthday. They are. Now, granted, Um, the point I'm making is just, yeah. So, yeah, that's right. He is an A class. He is an A class. Yomi is more of a super S. See, I think the thing that they don't realize is that Yomi is actually a super S class. So I get they're using like images to kind of get the point, which is great, but I would have just used Sensui. Sensui is the bare minimum, and he was a threat to the earth. Yomi in the manga, like let me give you an example. Yomi, like Hokushin, suppressed his powers to D class, embodied Yusuke just with raw skill, and was at least twice as strong as Yusuke was, because it was stated Yusuke needed 6 months to finally be able to beat them. And we know Yusuke can up, and this is Yusuke just training every single damn day. Yusuke for the Dark Tournament didn't even have that much time, and look how strong he got. So Yusuke could definitely make gaps in power jumps. Okay? So Hokushin was at least 2 to 3 times stronger than Yusuke, at the bare minimum, at his full power. And Hokushin's spirit power was at least 30,000. Whereas Yomi sits in the millions. So if Hokushin's 30k, by proxy, Sensui's spirit energy power, or spirit power level, according to what Tagashi was using later, should be at least, hypothetically, 15,000. Hokushin is 30,000. Sachidona was like 30, 50 plus thousand, or closer there. And then Grandmaster Kirin on Makuro's team was like 80k, upper 80s, 80,000. But yet, Yomi is literally in the millions for spirit energy. He was in the millions. And his son Shura, in the manga and anime, were stated to be at a 500,000. And Yomi literally tanked hits from Shura point blank, did not get hurt once, and was suppressed and treated his son. He literally did not try at all. His son threw his most powerful attack. Yomi took it point blank and just kind of looked at him. It was like, son, why are you doing this? Come on. I'm like, bro, that's ridiculous. And if you want to go by anime scaling, Yusuke's demon, it just gets crazy, because Yusuke's demon form is clarified to be an order of magnitude beyond his base, as shown in the manga and the anime. Yet, when Yusuke goes into his demon form, that's when he was able to match Yomi, implying Yomi is more than just a 1.3 million. Because I know the manga says Yomi is like a 1.4 million-ish. Here's the thing, that's a suppressed Yomi, because the calculator they used couldn't even bypass 999,999. It breaks. So the fact that Yomi is like, wow, each of these guys are around my own power, maybe even stronger when Raizen's friends powered up. So then what happened after was Yomi said, I bet I'm gonna start training. So Yomi actually trained in preparation for the tournament, meaning Yomi was way higher than that. And when Yusuke's demon form activates, you could imply, well, if Yusuke even said, my power is more equal to Shura than Yomi in the manga and anime. So Yusuke is like, I don't stand a chance. And then when Yusuke actually unlocked his demon form, he was making Yomi try hard for the most part, implying bare minimum Yusuke's at least what, 5 times to 10 times stronger. So either Yusuke's 2.5 million or 5 million flat. So compare 5 million to Hokushin's 30,000. So again, Yomi is a mega S tier. He's like Beerus in terms of comparing him to like the lower S tiers. It's like, it's not even close. This is turning to a Yu Yu Hakusho scaling video. I'm here. Yeah, I'm my bad, bro. My bad. I know we're supposed to talk about Bleach, but like, hey, I had to make some clarifications. My fault, bro. All right. So anyway. So let's see. C and B are getting a bit dicey. So again, Screw Attack made the mistake. Hiei. So here's where they messed up. He said D class Loco threat. No, because it was stated in the guidebook that the Saint Beast could kill everyone in Tokyo in the afternoon. And would destroy, and that's them not even being there with just the Makai insects. The Saint Beasts are literally city busters, and they're D class. The Saint Beasts are city busters, straight up. So I don't think they understood this. But anyway, the bottom line is the 4 Saint Beasts are city levels. And let me put it this way. Hiei, and they said, oh, only a local threat. And nah, bro. Because Hiei, the feat you showed, because here's the thing. And I'm going to clarify this right here. So the feat they show right here, right? Destroy your city kind of way. B class is not just destroy your city. A C class is what. First off, why don't we look at a scene, guys? And in Satsuko Kyryuha. Okay, so we're gonna finish this commercial, and then here is exactly what they say. So this is the actual feed.
I may not be natural, but it does give me exactly what I need. Dragon of the Darkness Flame.
So this is actually the feat. Yes, and I want to clarify. Hiei here is a D class. This is a upper D class feat. Bro. He's... Yeah, we are gonna scale Bleach, Majid. We're gonna sell Al Said. My bad, bro. We're definitely going back. I just need to prove a point because Screw Attack went off. Because I had to explain the same thing with Bleach. This feat is from a D class.
You know it's impossible to control it completely. Once I release it, I have no say.
Destroying entire boulders outside.
Have the power to pull you into oblivion. I assume just my right arm will do. You should never have insulted the Jagan Eye. Resisting it is not something I would do. Dragon!
So anyway, Hiei is only doing that feat as a D class, bro. So when they say B and C class are only city, I'm like, nah, bro. A and S, end of the world. Okay, that was good. That's true. So let's see. Go to it, girl. Yes, they bring up... So... Here's the thing, right here, this actually comes from Yu Yu Hakusho Forever, and this is the manga. The energy equivalent to a tiny sun in your body. Yeah, this is Yu Yu Hakusho Forever. She's the one who did this. Mori. So they actually, because I've spoken with Mori myself, and she's helped me with a lot of translations for my videos. So yeah. And Mori is, she's still active. She loves Yu Yu Hakusho, and she's done a great job with what she does, bro. So, let me see here. So she's the one who translated that originally. So they actually pulled that off from the site. Luminosity. watts. Small stars about red dwarfs. Okay, hold on. Let's fact check. Okay. Let's fact check about Yusuke's small star. Because they said he was talking about it has energy comparable to that of a small star. Okay? Because it says the Reiko Gyoku, a sphere of energy that condenses spirit energy to the utmost limit. It has been passed down from generation to generation by masters of Reiku Hadoken. It has energy comparable to that of a small star. The successor will have their nature questioned by their mind and body. Okay, so anyway, here's the thing. They said our sun has an average luminosity of 380 septillion watts, or 1 joule per second. Small stars, like a red dwarf, average luminosity is 1/10,000th of that, I suppose. Here is the thing. Yusuke didn't take a red dwarf in his body. So if y'all want to be hyper technical about that, the actual showcasing of it is the spirit orb. What color is this? If we're gonna say a red dwarf, let's at least be accurate. Let's not downplay. What color is that spirit orb? What color is it? I'm gonna ask chat. Chat, what color is this? What color is that spirit orb? Purple, not red. Yeah, it's definitely not red. Blue. Thank you. It's blue. So again, if we're going to be accurate, so a red dwarf luminosity, it varies massively. So they can either be 10,000ths of this, or it can be, it could be even less. So it can either be this number, a 10,000th of it, or it could just be a 10th. Okay? Now, it's still absurd. It's still ridiculous. But, again, so, again, it's still ridiculous on how much power that is. But anyway. Let me see. But anyway. But let's see. I don't know how I feel about this screw attack. Anyway. My million negatons of TNT. Enough to send to grow to the grave. Past his own limit. Alright, we're going to watch this separately so we don't get flagged. He knew. Since we was so yoked, he couldn't use his power in the human world without threatening to. So, they made a mistake again. So they made another mistake. Since we didn't actually say 1/5, he said half. So I'm not. This shows you I'm not trying to wank Yu Yu Hakusho either. But yeah, again, that he didn't say 1/5. He said 1/2. In context. Okay. Hold on. Yu Yu Hakusho episode 92 sub. No. Let me see something here. Give me 1 second, guys. I'm gonna look that up. Because they said destroying the human world would be like smashing an anthill. Would be like Sensui Yu Yu Hakusho episode 92. I don't remember him ever saying that. Let's look that up. Let's go to the sub. Yup. Let me see something. Let me see something. Close. Close. Oh. Close. Alright, let's see. If you does he ever actually say that? Stop it. Alright, I'm looking at the episode right now, guys. Separately. Alright, let's see. Was he sure they didn't mean 82? Let's see here. They don't say that at all. And I'm skimming through the episode because I remember they don't actually ever say that. So I need to figure out where are they getting this from. Let me go to episode 82 maybe. Where are they saying that? Where are they seeing it, chat? That's when they fight the Game Master. Yeah, they never say that. I don't know where they got this from. It's not in episode 92. I don't recall them ever saying that. So again, misinformation. God dang it. But yeah. Anyway. The mid-end interpretation for small star, it doesn't mean Yusuke swallow a little star mass. But again, if we are considering it to be like absurd amounts of energy, in my opinion, I think we know what they're saying. It can be either or. But let's see. They are likely referring to complete planetary destruction, not just raising the surface. Yeah, that's true. King Emma shaking both the demon and human world. Yeah, sorta. That's not always true. He fought Yakumo. He did say he could destroy the human world. Yakumo, that's true. Yep. Yes, Yusuke is A-class. However, the Yakumo movie is not canon. That event did not actually happen in the same timeline. So, It's not a bad scale, but I just wouldn't use it. Cut. They're talking about Makuro cutting through space. So let's watch the battle. So we're going to watch the battle. So chat, I'm going to watch the battle and I'm going to see what they actually do. Episode 92 in the 13-minute mark. I'm going to see that. Let me see if it's true. Okay, I'm looking. Yeah. Bury all of mankind into a grave. I have nearly become a god. Destroying the human world would be like smashing an anthill. Ah, there it is. There it is. Okay. I remember this now. It's just... Come on, stop. Now, in that context, it's hard to tell if he meant just blowing up the planet or if he meant, like, just killing everybody on it. Because it's so easy to do. But, I suppose you could say that. But if that's the case, then... We just, if that's the case, then then that would be star level. That's crazy. That's crazy. But thanks for providing that information, Nick. I appreciate that. So yeah, since we does make the statement, okay, that's pretty cool. But they say no, you love the human world. And they say a world where humans don't exist. So it's hard to tell the context intended. I mean, it's clear to tell that the context is more like destroy the... I swear. Alright. Yeah. They should have just screen captured it. But it's all good. Or leave the mark. But it's alright. They did a good job. Okay. Alright. Alright, let's continue. Let me see here. I want to hear what he says again in the Japanese. God dang it, stop it. Interesting. Interesting. I'm curious now. I am curious. Alright, anyway, guys. Now that I messaged Yu Yu Hakusho Brown, I want to see her opinion on that statement. Just to make sure we're consistent. So, I'm watching Yusuke versus, but whatever. We'll talk about that later. So, let's focus on Ichigo. Alright, the first problem with this battle is... The first problem with this battle is the Yu Yu Hakusho portion. I did skim over it, but I think there's a couple feats they didn't include. First off, Ichigo is just too fast. But we'll see what they say at the end. But at the same time, they're still very, very, very fast in Yu Yu Hakusho. Primarily... Come on. Let me... Thank you. Primarily feats like this. See, chat? So, I guess Uryu isn't the only one who left his shadow behind. So, again. And by the way, this is C-class Shishi Wakumaru. So C classes were already light speed. Actually, D classes were. Because Musashi could shoot down photons, but I don't know if they actually mentioned that. Ichigo, however... I mean, the problem with Ichigo is... You got Shuhei in Bleach, okay? I'll explain something. A Zero is about the speed of light. A Bala is 20 times faster, right? So, what have we seen Shuhei do before? Well, base Shuhei, if I recall. Let me see if I can find it. There was a GIF I used to have where Shuhei dodges like hundreds of ballas. So, I mean, Shuhei has dodged hundreds of ballas before. And it fired at 20 times, but it can be successfully fired at 20 times. It's 20 times faster. Not as strong as the Zero, but about 20 times faster. Man, that's potato quality. Let's get the actual scan. If a Zero is light speed, Bala is 20 times faster than Zero, which makes it 20 times the speed of light. Yes, that is accurate. Now, where the heck is that GIF that I need? I hate... There we go. Alright, so... In any case... There it is. So here it is, chat. Base Shuhei could easily, in base, dodge attacks that are 20 times light speed. And Shikai Shuhei should be at least 2 to 5 times base. So, either Shuhei is 100, okay? Or, either Shuhei is 40 times to 100 times faster than light. And base Ichigo is way faster than Shikai Shuhei. At least for his, Ichigo's always in Shikai. We'll treat that as his base, right? So when Ichigo stacks on Bankai, right? In the hierarchy of the Rankai, like I said in my last video, you can get Ichigo to, and Senjumaru. I did a calc with Senjumaru that showed that if she's shaking the realms, right? We utilize, a specific... Let me look it up on my Discord, because I had it before. Hold on. Yusuke can defeat Ichigo in 3 hollow forms. Yusuke versus... They messed up the speed section badly. I agreed. Let me see here. We say space-type propagation. Space wave propagation is a method transmitting radio waves, typically above direction from matter transmitter. We used that, and it was something else I used for Senjumaru. Let me find this old Discord notes that I left myself. Okay. Let me see here. Soul Society. Ah, I think I found the note, chat. Yeah. Thanks, Roz. Let me check our old conversation. All right, so let me see here. Ah, here it is. Here it is. Here it is. Yeah. Now I remember. Let's see here. All right. Yeah. So I found it, chat. Let's see here. Let's see here. So what I put down was I said after you. So yeah, we use orbital mechanics. So orbital mechanics and seismology and square law energy dissipation and boundary factor. What type of math is boundary factor? Bro. Boundary factor math. Okay. Its critical views separate regions and equalitative or graph boundaries by converting inequalities. Okay? All right. So yeah, when we're using boundary mechanics, so what I wrote down was I said I understand. All right, so we have to use suspension of disbelief. So let's say Ichigo is moving at 10,000 times the speed of light, because if base Shuhei is 20 times light speed and Ichigo in a Shikai form is like 5 times that, right? Because Ichigo's base should equal Shuhei. That is 100 times light speed, okay? And in 1 week, 1.9 light years shaking 3 realms without asserting infinite energy. Dangai should have a boundary factor of 1,000, since it's literally 1,000 times denser temporal-wise. Then we argue how much energy it takes to shake 3 realms on the planet. So overall, essentially the math is, if it takes Ichigo was stated to take a week to reach that far, and Ichigo could move at 10,000 times light speed, because we know Shuhei has dodge ballas in base. Ballers are explicitly 20 times faster, period. We know Ichigo's Shikai. We know Ichigo's base is greater than Shuhei. So let's just say Ichigo and Shuhei are equal, just a low ball, and say Ichigo and his Shikai is 5 times his base, whatever. Alright, so that's 100 times light speed, just in this context, since we know Sero is light, and we're not going to try to argue nuances there. With that being said, all you have to do is just use that to plug in how far it is that Ichigo traveled from the Royal Palace. And that should give you a distance mechanism to tell you how far Senjumaru's energy traveled to go through the boundary factor of 1,000, to shake past the Dangai, which governs time, and hit the human world. Okay? So what we're getting from this is that Ichigo, in this context, is way stronger than Senjumaru. Okay? So now Senjumaru can't just destroy, she could shake the 3 realms. That don't mean she could destroy it. Okay? Like, I could shake my house by stomping. Like, if I hit my desk, bam, 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 I'm shaking my whole desk. But that doesn't mean I can destroy it into pieces. Alright? So, going by that, if 1 light year, right, based on, using baseline math, right, if we know 1 light year is 31,557 600 seconds, and then we know Ichigo only takes him a week, it says here that when I converted it, it's 1.2 light years away. So that means Senjumaru's disturbance propagates that distance, and with the boundary factor of 10,000, let's see here. Okay, and then, yeah. So that's what it was. Yeah, so the world, yeah, it's absolutely a crazy distance. So I think it was like 3 to 4 light years. Basically, it's bigger than our solar system. So even if somebody lowballs, Ichigo traveled outside of our solar system, so vast as the stars in the sky, so. So the inaccuracies of this battle is that the first problem is, I'm assuming we're going to use a lowball Ichigo, or a mid-end Ichigo, and if we're getting rid of universal meta for Bleach, which Bleach has a strong argument for universal meta. If we're getting rid of universal meta for Bleach, Ichigo would have died on the first punch from Yusuke. Because I've already explained that a single punch from Yusuke, based upon his energy output on Jewels of Energy, Yusuke intended to truly kill Ichigo. After his sacred energy boost and increase, if Yusuke was truly warmed up, Yusuke would just kill Ichigo in the first strike. Because Yusuke would have the equivalent of, a star level punch. Let alone his spirit gun. Because if Ichigo's not... Now, Ichigo's Quincy cells will protect him now. Which, actually, I see they're doing that. Okay, never mind. They're doing a good job then. Never mind. Now, they're doing good. Okay. Now, we know in Yu Yu Hakusho, when they're emotionally invested, Yusuke's rage boost, I know Yusuke's rage boost jumps by 1,000-fold. I think, yeah. And then Ichigo doesn't really have the same jump. Yeah. Yeah, because look at something happen while I was dead? You guys all seem to have been through years of hard training. So in other words, Yusuke was like, dang, they got such a jump in power. He thought he was dead for years. So there's that. And then there's one more scan I want to look at real quick to see the accuracy. Let's see. Yeah. What did I say? I can't find the scan. I had it before. Maybe it's in the DMs with Roz. Hold on. Let me go to Roz in my DMs. All right. So what we're looking at right now is we're trying to find that evidence. Let me see if I could. Yep. Yep. Well, we know there's this statement. We know there's a couple statements. Yusuke, they didn't bring up stamina, which I'm not coming at Ichigo for stamina, but they didn't bring this up. And we'll have to run another 4 days before we arrive. So, there's that. And then we have this. Among the countries in the demon world, which are as numerous as the stars, ours is but a small one. And we already know Yusuke travel speed is ridiculous as an S-class. As shown against Sensui, he crossed the horizon. So, and they said they went full speed for 5 days. So that means Yusuke can run for full speed at 5 days and not break a sweat. And that also implies Yusuke doesn't need to eat for 5 days. Don't ask why. It's amazing. So, yeah, I don't. That's something they should have brought up. But as far as like Ichigo goes, Ichigo still has a speed advantage. Because as fast as I believe Yusuke is, chat, I'm sure we can agree, Yusuke is not going to cross 2 light years in the matter of like a couple hours like Ichigo did. No matter how much we love Yusuke, we have to admit that. Yusuke getting grabbed by a Minos Grande is crazy work because the Minos Grande would just evaporate by going next to him. Alright, he's grabbing Yusuke, throwing him in the Dangai. This battle is lit, though. Yusuke doesn't need Ryzen anymore, so I don't know why they have Ryzen whispering in his ear. But okay, we'll take that. Sorry, I missed most of the Yu Yu Hakusho Death Battle critique. Nah, you're good, Top Hat Macadamia. Welcome, welcome. I'm glad to have you in here. We're still getting up there. We're still hype. There we go. There we go. But Ryzen's not alive, so that wouldn't happen. Yes, the good thing I do agree is Bankai is a 10 times base, and so is Demon Form Yusuke, so that's pretty cool. To be honest, how strong would you say Yusuke was? I genuinely am interested in that. I gotta see. Don't tell me who wins, guys. Let me be shocked. Give me 1 second. I'm not gonna look at chat just in case. The battle is really good though. I'm excited about this. Where is that scan? By the way, there's a scan that I have for Yu Yu Hakusho that's kind of a ridiculous claim. It's such a ridiculous jump. So it depends on a variety of factors. This kind of reminds me of the Naruto versus Luffy matchup, and I'll explain why. Yeah. Yeah, now we're talking. Yup. Yup. Yeah, there we go. Let's see this battle. Yusuke wouldn't say he's going to kill Ichigo. Yusuke is not somebody who likes to kill his opponent unless he needs to. So that's not accurate. Okay. Okay, so Ichigo won. Okay, that's fine. I'm not really mad about that. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I can't be mad about Yusuke winning. Ichigo winning. That's okay. That's not too bad. But let's see the reason. It's 4 chapters. Abilities. Yusuke could see Ichigo no problem and resist aura like Toguro that are similar to Reiatsu. So Ichigo couldn't cheese a win. Yusuke was outmatched. The Spirit Gun could match the Tensho. Stat boosting form like the Mazoku. It's the Mazoku, not Mazoku, anyway. Ichigo had more varied powers. He had a better healing factor. I don't know about that. Yusuke's body completely healed when his heart was... And Yusuke can heal himself. So, it's hard to really say. I guess you could say Ichigo has a better healing factor because Yusuke was never really pushed to that point where he needed to heal in the same way. But it's more of a... Just because he hasn't shown it doesn't mean he can't. So, it's a little hard to say. But that's okay. Let's continue. Greater stamina. Okay, buddy. Okay, buddy. I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. So, I don't have a problem with Ichigo winning, but my first critique, chat, is going to come in. My opinion is this. Yusuke... So... Here's the problem with the Yusuke versus Ichigo death battle. To say that Yusuke has a better... Ichigo has a better healing factor is weird. Because Yusuke can heal himself with the spirit wave even after having his heart pierced and numerous other injuries. But whatever. Sure. We may have not seen him do anything else besides that. So that's fine. I'm not going to cry about it. However, I do want to say that better stamina because he trained months in the Dangai, I disagree. We don't know how many breaks he took off screen. We also know that he was training subconsciously in his spiritual form, not actually physically. Okay? So the Gi guy, or his main spiritual body, he was more so training in his conscious mind in that aspect. Not physically. Because he was mostly focusing on boosting his Reiatsu in efficiency and unlocking deeper power. Kind of like how Frieza was image training while trapped in hell. So I don't think he has... better stamina. Yusuke verbatimly in the manga, in anime, fought Yomi for 60 full hours at full power. Yusuke ran for 5 days without breaking a sweat at max speed for 5 days. Before he was even upper S class, he ran a max of 5 full days non-stop at full speed and wasn't even breathing heavy. And he didn't eat. So look, not saying Ichigo doesn't have similar stamina stats, but Ichigo was conserving Reiatsu. When he traveled from the Royal Palace down to the Soul Society, or the Seiryu, or the Seirete, sorry, Ichigo was coasting because he had to preserve his energy. Kind of like when Goku was flying back all the way from King Kai's place to Earth, he had to take a sensu bean because he used up power for stamina. Yusuke didn't have that issue at all. Yusuke didn't even eat. Yusuke just literally just sprinted, catching up with stronger people like Hokushin and others, while they said, we purposely tried to outrun you, and they were sweating. We purposely tried to leave you in the dust, yet you was able to keep up with us max speed, and you're not even breaking a sweat. And Yusuke says, yeah, I'm built for this. Because remember his training, even when he was D-class, Genkai had him balance on his tip of his finger, exerting spirit energy for 24 hours straight, no sleep. And in the manga, Yusuke was fighting with the spirit orb in his chest for days. So Yusuke went through days of torture. He has crazy stamina. So I wouldn't say Ichigo has better stamina. I think they're not comparable. It's like apples to pineapples. It's like, okay, they both have stamina, but they're different fruits. Chat, what do y'all think? Y'all agree? I don't know, but I don't think so. I also, to say Ichigo has more abilities, Ichigo doesn't really use his Hados or Kidos. So, yeah. But yeah. So it's hard to say because Ichigo is in a place where time is affected. He was just, you know, it's different. It was more of a mental, spiritual refinement. So again, it's not the same as physical. Chat, what do y'all think? Let's get some chat engagement here. Genkai's early let's see here. But yeah. I feel like personally between like abilities, I don't think Ichigo wins in abilities. Because although Ichigo has a Zero, a Getsuga Tensho, Quincy factors, Yusuke has a lot more than I think they're covering. So let's talk about Yusuke's abilities, okay? They probably went to the Yu Yu Hakusho Wikipedia and we're trying to pull things from that. But Yusuke Urameshi has a lot more than I think Screw Attack gave credit for. I would say they're equal in this category because, okay, yes, healing factor. All right, that's fine. But, you know, again, stamina I wouldn't say is part of abilities. That's more stats. So I don't know why they brought that up for abilities. But Yusuke has a lot more going on. Okay? So, like, as far as, like, what Yusuke can do, Yusuke has spiritual energy. Like, Yusuke has... What was it? I know that he can fly, because he can manipulate his energy. Ichigo can, too. So they're about equal there. You know, again, abilities also, like, it depends on what you mean. Because, like, Yusuke fought demons who've been around for thousands of years. Ichigo fought people who have thousands of years, so they're equal there, right? So as far as like fighting experienced foes, the spirit gun is interesting because, like they said, it has numerous different properties. But again, I would say there's a little bit more than that. Yusuke can also, you know, he can put energy on his foot. He can use, you know, we talked about the spirit wave. There is a little bit more, though. But it depends on how you really want to go about it. But I think Yusuke has a good portion of moves that he can use. So, because they didn't mention the sacred energy Yusuke has. Which, as we know, sacred energy, according to Yomi, adapts to the nature of its environment. So, basically, the environment you're around, sacred energy adapts to that. And can materialize. Not that Yusuke used it to materialize in his fight with Yomi, but it can. Because he had the same energy type as Yomi. So, again, they're not mentioning the sacred energy. Sure, they used the demon form, and they used a little bit of the sacred energy variant. But, again, it's a little shaky there. But I wouldn't say, like... I wouldn't say as far as, like, abilities, because... It's not even that Yusuke... And now, if you're talking, like, raw different attack types, sure. But we have to clarify what you mean by abilities, because there's different variants of how Yusuke's attacks operate. Because Yusuke also has Hack's resistance. That's another thing. Because Hack's resistance counts as... Like, Goku doesn't have that many abilities, in most cases. But he can resist so many different types of hacks, if he really wanted to. Like, Goku got a lot of abilities. But, like... His most prominent one is what type of hacks he could resist. And science determined, yes, Yusuke actually did fly. He flies against Sensui, and he flies against Yomi. So, yeah. Let's see here. There's other stuff sacred energy does, by the way. But anyway. Yusuke reacts to lightning later on. The spirit gun can bounce off mirrors, but has never been described as light, unlike Sero's. Okay, so Death Battles is saying the spirit... So again, they're saying the spirit gun can bounce off mirrors. Okay? But has never been described as light, unlike Sero's, and exhibits contradictory properties. Likewise, nobody reacts to the light produced by Musashi's photon sword. That's not a good argument, though. Because that's like saying nobody has blocked. That's like saying nobody has countered let's say nobody has it's like saying nobody has ever dealt with this ability early on, so we have to assume they can't. That's just not sensible. You know? Because then you're basically kind of just... I forgot the logical fallacy that is. But you're just kind of coining it to like, oh, well, since nobody reacted to Musashi's photon sword, and nobody is actually light speed like Musashi. I'm like, are you implying a less than D-class Musashi's photon swords are faster than the attacks produced by S-classes? That burden of proof is on you to prove that. Secondly, if we're going to use the term, oh, Sero is light, so I guess it moves light speed, then the ray gun or the spirit gun literally is described as light because the spirit wave is verbatimly treated like light. Then you guys bring up Uryu being faster than his shadow, but you don't bring up that Shishi Rakamaru was so fast that he was faster than his shadow, in the same way Uryu was. You don't even bring that. They don't bring that up. So again, we got to be equal here. We can't have favoritism. We got to be equal here. Okay. Then on top of that, Suzuka describes that spirit light reflection, which is something that Genkai use, where she basically takes your spirit energy, because your spirit energy is light, just like Nen. Nen is described as light in Hunter x Hunter. Spirit energy is described as light in Yu Yu Hakusho. Clearly it emits light. They always describe it as doing so. Genkai could block it and reflect it utilizing a spirit light mirror. And it's literally described that spirit energy is a wavelength. Okay? It's a wave of light in many other variants that they describe. And here's the screen for it. So I don't agree with that. I think they're not being logical. They're not being equal in this case. So again, it's not that I'm saying Yusuke is faster than Ichigo, but I wouldn't say it's a wash either. Because spirit energy is described to be light numerous times. So I don't agree with that part in most cases. And also, for those who don't know, the SDF, Spirit Defense Force, for those who don't know, traversed from the underworld all the way back to the human world. Hey! Yo, shout out to Talking Koala. Late, got off work, and now this koala is talking. Hey! Yo, let's go. Give it up for... Yo, let's get some hype in the chat for Talking Koala. Thank you so much, man. Let's get some koalas in the chat. Hey! That's what I'm talking about. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. And the actual Japanese manga, the gate between the heavenly world and the spirit world, you need to know where you're navigating, and it's a place, it's a place where light cannot escape, and the Spirit Defense Force can just casually bypass it to get to the human world, and that has been shown when Pooh reawakens and emits light. And Sayaka, it says Sayaka's longing intensified to take on the feelings of resentment and evil. She's dangerous. It's going to be causing her to drag her. If she tries to enter the spirit world like that, she'll be lost in the realm of darkness, a graveyard for souls where there is no light at all. That could be worse than hell. And in some translations, says light cannot pass through because, again, so the context is there's numerous contexts in Yu Yu Hakusho that uses the same argument as Bleach to issue out this stuff is light based. So I think that needs to be addressed. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. Appreciate it. Hey, Koala's in the chat. Let's get it. But yeah, faster than a shadow feat is inconsistent for Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho. I disagree. I think it's within context. I think they know what they were doing. I just think that you have to think about suspension of disbelief, science determiner, because you have to think of it this way. As a writer, literature, I'm not going to have if my character performs a crazy feat, I'm not going to have him pull that feat off every single time, because then at that point it just causes an issue. But yeah. So I just think that this is kind of an argument from ignorance at the end of the day, by saying, "Oh, we didn't see counters, so I guess there's no counter that exists against." Like, no, that doesn't make sense, you know. So again, this is just, you know, this is a common power scaling pitfall I see quite a bit. Where, you know, people will take, you know, assumptions and treat it like a measure of property and be like, "Oh, well, you know, I think this is the case." So yeah. And I don't like when they do stuff like this, the death battles, because it's kind of double standard, you know. I think the term we typically say is special bleeding, because basically, oh, yeah, Uryu was faster than a shadow, but what about Yu Yu Hakusho, where they literally do the same thing? You know, I just think that needs to be treated equally. So both characters, like, so it needs to be treated equally as far as feats go. So yeah, there's that. Got much faster with time. And his clash with Yomi, it went 57% the speed of light. But Ichigo is faster than light from the start. See, that's what I'm talking about, bro. Like, and actually, it depends, because if Demon World is as numerous as stars, you could technically argue that that Yusuke ran a light year as well, because there's really no way to tell. Ichigo just has a better time frame than Yusuke in terms of travel speed, but Yusuke also has better stamina feats. But both characters have surpassed light numerous times, and like most of the, so like Ichigo has surpassed. Let me just say it again. Ichigo has feats where he's faster than light numerous times, but like Bleach never really explicitly says the term light speed like One Piece. One Piece and Naruto are very blatant. Bleach just says Negocion light, Sero is light, Bala is a part of Sero that has light. Yu Yu Hakusho, oh, that was my shadow. Oh, this is a spirit wave that uses wavelength. This is light. This is a light speed, you know. Whatever. Even by that portion there, the bottom line is Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho don't ever give explicit, clean statements like Naruto and One Piece does when it comes to light speed, where Naruto databooks tells you this is speed of light. You can't argue it. You just don't even try. One Piece, this is speed of light. Don't even argue it. Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho are both guilty for not giving you explicit statement. So first, we examine what they do. We know that Sero is light. We know Bala's 20 times faster. We know the Spirit Gun is light-based. And we know there's wavelengths that move at light speed. We know Shishiwakumaru is faster than light, leaving his shadow behind. Because if you're going to say Uryu can do it, and you're going to imply that's light speed, then we're going to do the same for Shishiwakumaru. So upon that assertion, both can outspeed their shadow. Shishiwakumaru got tortured by Genkai. And Genkai said that was easy. And in literally Suzaku, who was like, oh, that stuff ain't gonna work on me. Genkai toyed with him, took his nose from a distance, and he didn't even react. Nobody even knew what happened. So again, in the context of characters being very, very, very fast, just like Hiei sliced Seiryu so fast that Yusuke, in the Japanese, Yusuke saw 15 out of 16 cuts, and Kurama said, I only seen a shred of light, and then I couldn't tell. I only seen the initial slash, and everything was just a gleam of the blade or of light. And Kuwabara was like, I didn't even see him move. Like, I just saw him appear over here. Again, then if you want to argue Suzaku's taking Demon World lightning, you can argue Suzaku's amping his power through demon energy when he's repropagating it. You can even argue the lightning speed from Suzaku was Suzaku caught lightning out of the air. You could argue he caught the return stroke before it went back up in the sky. Or he's a conductor and absorbed it all. Again, lightning is not just 240,000 miles per hour, so people got to stop saying that. So in my opinion, I think Bleach and Yu Yu Hakusho are similar in speed feats. Ichigo just has a more clear-cut statement because we know the Hollow Mask is 10 times stronger than Bankai, and we know the Bankai is 10 times base. We just have a solid multiplier. Yusuke, we know the demon form is an order of magnitude in the Japanese manga, and we know the sacred energy based on Sensui's claims is 10 times more potent or powerful. So we know that Yusuke and Ichigo have 100 times multiplier forms at their peaks, arguably more. And then you could argue, oh, well, Ichigo has an extra push using his true ability. However, something that gets overlooked a lot, because again, we're talking anime logic, so we got to use suspension of disbelief. First off, one of the doctors was saying, how can this be? Right in the middle of the match, Yusuke's spiritual power is rising rapidly, and then Kurama tells him, you never know when a human's going to find an opportunity to become stronger. Genkai says to think his spiritual level is rising from anger, and Genkai, someone who's been around for years, is literally saying, and actually I'll pull it up right now, hold on. She says verbatim, I never seen someone who could recover so quickly. And this is Genkai, who's been around for a long time saying that. And then, forgot his name, the scientist, he says literally, when my team fights together as three, their strength is roughly 1,020 times what it is individually. That's not just flavor writing. That's not flowery wording. The doctor uses real mathematics, and that was the whole idea of the science that they were using for Yu Yu Hakusho. Yusuke just through a rage boost overcame those odds and literally turned the fight in their favor. Now, obviously, Yusuke is beating them individually, so we're not going to say he's literally getting 1,020 times multiplier like some Gohan level strength where Gohan goes from a power level of 1 to 700 or 1 to 1,000 plus. We're not going to say that. We're not going to go that crazy, but it does imply Yusuke is jumping leagues in power. Leagues in power. Crazy multipliers. And it's implied throughout the show all the time. And we're not even factoring in that if Yusuke uses life force energy, like he did against Suzaku, or goes beyond his limits, like he did against Toguro. Toguro said, I was 100%, over 100%, but you hit like 110%. Basically saying you somehow went beyond your limits. So Yusuke can do that too. So what I'm getting at is Ichigo and Yusuke, in my opinion, as far as speed goes, Ichigo has better showings for travel feats, and Yusuke, and so as far as combat speed though, they should be about equal. And you could argue Yusuke has the better stamina, but regardless, Yusuke gets stronger now Ichigo gets stronger after a fight, and sometimes during a fight, as we saw with Kenpachi. But Yusuke's increases are more mathematically dramatic, kind of like Saitama or Vegeta. And that's shown throughout the entire series. Hiei's power was doubled. Yusuke overcame that just with rage. And he does it over and over and over and over throughout the entire series. The only thing holding him back against Toguro was his emotions. So he got another rage boost to beat Toguro. We fought Sensui, he got pissed off. And Sensui was shocked by how high his power jumped. Yomi was shocked by how high his power jumped. Because, again, that's the theme. It's like, oh, Yusuke's angry. He's literally like a Saiyan. And Yusuke literally says, you're going to regret making me angry like this, Yomi. I get stronger and stronger as I fight. And was grinning. Verbatimly. He literally says that verbatimly. He's like, you're going to regret this. I get stronger and stronger as I fight. I'm not saying Ichigo doesn't, but Yusuke is... how often they tell us about Yusuke doing it, it's literally implying like he's like a Saiyan. So I would just say that speed-wise, I'm going to say they're both equal in combat speed or roughly in the same ballpark to where neither should really blitz one another. But I will admit, Yu Yu Hakusho has to use transitive scaling for this. And same with Bleach. So both series has to use transitive scaling. Alright? There's no clean-cut statements of the term light speed in either series. So there you have it. That's what I gotta say to y'all about that. And I hope that was... I hope we can come to a consensus there. Now, let's continue. Let me see. Let's read chat. How many people are still lurking in chat, by the way? Anyway. But yeah, I would say like the nuance is that their power is increased. Now, Ichigo, Yu Yu Hakusho had... I'm going to look at this a little bit more carefully, though. Let me see. Oh, and here's another one. For the spirit wave. For people who don't believe it's not light speed. That's why I'm saying, I'm like, I don't know, guys. I feel like that's kind of being picky with that. Let's see. I'm going to pull up that scan I had with Andre. Alright, let's see here. So yeah, I just think that this stuff... Hey, still lurking, let's go. So again, let's continue. Gotten faster too. Couldn't see Byakuya blitz him in a rematch. I mean, yeah, same thing happened with Yusuke and Toguro. Anyway. Minimum shockwave radius. Thousands of times light speed. I agree. Okay. That's fishy. So they said the Soul King's power was felt across the realms at light speed, and it extended, and in thousands of times light speed using the radius, and that's not bad. I don't disagree with that. I mean, even I think Ichigo's far faster if we're using versus battle transitive property scaling and logic. However, to say that Yuhaba's attacks are the same speed, or like Yuhaba's combat attacks are the same speed as releasing a detonation of energy, it's not. I wouldn't say it's the same. I wouldn't say Yuha is going to shoot a Quincy Sero and it's going to reach the human world instantaneously. Nah, that doesn't really work like that, buddy. Not really. So abilities equal, speed equal, maybe slightly Ichigo, depending on how you want to go about it. But it could favor Yusuke depending on how pissed off Yusuke gets. Yusuke gets stronger as he fights, and faster. So anyway. Tactics and ability to adapt mid-fight. Nah, Yusuke wins this. Style done, guys, the centuries of training. Decade of experience to Shinigami. I mean, Yusuke beat people who has mastered every single martial art on the planet. And that was when he was not even... And that was before he fought Suzaku. So I don't know. New weapons and styles, I don't know. Mexican cleverness in hand-to-hand. He's good enough to spot Kabano, who mastered every martial art. Ichigo's martial arts are comparable to his friend Tatsuki, who performed well in a national competition with a broken arm. However, this level of skill would not be comparable to characters like Rando Kabano, whom Yusuke fought. I disagree. Tactics-wise, although Ichigo fought people with centuries of training, you do realize Kurama is 500 plus years old, the fox demon. Kurama is old as heck. And same with Hiei. And people like Makuro have been around for far longer, and demons who've been around for centuries, or millennias. So I disagree with that. That's not true at all. Like, I don't... Because tactics-wise, Yusuke found methods to get around... Yusuke, he just outpunched and outpowered Toguro. Sensui was more skilled than him in every way, and Yusuke found ways to adapt and beat him. Yusuke has fought people who mastered every martial arts, from Rando to Kabano. So it's still just like, I don't know, buddy. You know, and then he fought the 4 Saint Beast, who are centuries years old. So, you know, and Ichigo too. So they both kind of did that. But my thing is that hand to hand, Yusuke has shown better. Ichigo really doesn't outskill people with his sword. He more so he is really skilled though, don't get it wrong. But he usually outpowers them and outfinesses them in most cases, once he understands how something works. So it's kind of like I agree it's almost a draw, but I give it slightly to Yusuke, just because Yusuke has handled combat against hundreds of A to S class demons when he was finished training, from different variant type of styles of martial arts, beings who can manipulate wavelengths. Yusuke is comparable to Hiei, who could fight beings like Makuro, who can cut space itself to negate durability. So again, I get what they're trying to say, But Yusuke just has more versatility in that aspect. He's way more he's usually more creative in combat in comparison. Ichigo usually has to unlock something and then power through, rather than Ichigo coming up with, oh, this is a creative way to win this fight. Because let's look at it. Byakuya, nope, he just got stronger and won. Figured out how it worked and got stronger. And he was going to lose anyway if the holiday didn't come. The Bound arc, which isn't even in the manga. Again, didn't really outsmart him too much. He just had to figure out a couple things. So it's not like a puzzle. Grimmjow, same thing. Ukiura, same thing. He just got stronger. I have to just outmuscle you. Getsuga Tensho. And it's nothing wrong with that. It was well written. But I'm saying that in general, he doesn't typically find new ways all the time. Aizen, nah, just train and get way stronger and then beat his ass. Fullbringer arc, nah, just unlock my powers and get beastly. Against Yuha and the others, nah, just get stronger and dish out more Reiatsu. Whereas Yusuke is like, I'm gonna outpower. Oh wait, I can't. Yomi has a demon shielding wall, so I can't use demon energy. I'm gonna make him think I'm using only demon energy. Then I'm going to mix in spirit energy and then catch him off guard with a mega spirit gun. That's strategy. And this is Yomi has had thousands of years of experience because and we know Ryzen is that old. Because Ryzen was in feudal Japan, way before the Edo period, way back in the day. During the times of when the origins of Fujin and Raijin was being, like, integrated. So I would say Ryzen is very old. You know? So again, I think tactics I would give to Ichigo. Yusuke. Slightly. Only slightly. But I still say Yusuke has showed more. What do you guys think? Hey, doing dishes and pasta. That sounds good. What do you guys think, chat? Do y'all think Yusuke has more versatility? Like Ichigo slight speed, Yusuke slight tactics. But yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of my thing though, chat. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying like usually in most cases it's, you know, I gotta get more power. You know. Not a trap. Whereas Yusuke can be like, Yusuke, like when Yusuke fought Toguro, I'm going to use the debris to distract Toguro and then catch him with a spirit gun off guard. Or I'm going to use like Yusuke's like, I'm going to use debris to do an upside down spirit gun to Toguro. Or Yusuke's other case. I figured out the tactics of how Dr. Itagaki, I think it was his name. The scientist, the evil scientist, I forgot his name, but Yusuke is like, alright, these 3 men are trapped. The angel disc, that's how it works. The invisible sword is just a big spirit sword. The grizzly claw is concentrated spirit. He had to figure this out mid-battle. So Yusuke's smart, tactic-wise. Then, even while fighting Toguro, Kuwabara, here's what we're going to do. We're going to team up and do this, and that method. I'm going to shoot you with a spirit gun. Oh, Jin. I'm going to pretend I'm going to wait till you get close and do a spirit gun in your face. Then Jin is like, oh, you're crazy, you're a Meshi. Now Jin psychologically thinks, dang, I guess I'm not going to go too close to him now. And then when he tries that, he says, nope, I'm going to use double tornado fist. So in case you think, boom, Yusuke catches him with a different tactic. And he's like, damn, I didn't expect that. Chew. Oh, I'm stronger than you, Yusuke. Okay, spirit gun double. He had to invent that on the spot. So he had enough punching power to pierce to choose attack. Sensui, I'm going to rip my shirt off, tie it to you so you can't run away. I'm going to throw my shoe into your face as a distraction. And even when he was fighting Sensui when he was an S-class, Sensui's like, your tactic would have worked on me, but your demon energy is just too potent. Because Yusuke was hiding in the sand. to do ambush attack. Not saying Ichigo isn't smart, but Ichigo typically doesn't do stuff like this. It's kind of hash and slash. And I'm saying that respectfully. It's very straightforward, you know? In Yusuke, pretty much every battle, I'm going to use the cigarette so I could see the way while fighting Kabano. Oh, Rando? Well, Rando he kind of got lucky, which kind of funny, low-key. But, yeah. Anyway, the other battles, like against Suzaku, I'm going to use the rubber in my shoes to cancel out the lightning or negate its effects, and then hide a spirit-powered energy punch so that as soon as you break them, I'm going to hit you with a surprise punch. And he damaged Suzaku's antenna and made it harder for him to control his power. So Yusuke is very, very tactical in almost every battle he ever had. Except against Chu. Well, he's still tactical, but some battles he just muscles through. But even against Toguro, he tried to come up with sneak attacks, other things he can do. You know. And he tries to get creative in how he fights. If he can. For the most part. So, you know, that's why I say tactics go to Yusuke. I've only seen Yu Hakusho, so my case is biased. That's okay, man. I haven't really seen either, so I don't know personally. Hey, it's all good. I'm just explaining to you guys how. You know? But, like, yeah. Let's go into the last one. Power doesn't cede all advantages. Durability matters too. But yeah. Yusuke destroyed the planet. Sky spinning flash. Megatons of TNT. Zetatons. Not only did the tremendous power shake the vast land of Okamuno, but it reached Lurk. At its peak, could destroy several realms, which is far more impressive than just. So the problem is like I still think Ichigo wins in power if we go with a high ball, but if we're using conservative scaling, Yuha destroying the realms is not raw AP or DC. It's him being he has the Soul King's power, so he's destabilizing it as a linchpin. So again, it's like destroying the support beams to a building rather than just blowing it up outright. It's not the same. And they said, to be fair, Yusuke beat Yakumo, who could threaten 2 realms at the same time. Close to Yuhaba threatening 3. But the thing is, it's like, the Soul Society... The Soul King is going to disrupt the order of the universe. So it's not just 3 planets. And there's statements that say Hueco Mundo is endless sand. And then you have the Muken, which is also infinite, which is a separate realm. So I would say the Soul King's reach is far greater. But again, they're not really using AP. This has been a common argument. If you go with the high-end interpretation, then you could say low multiversal Yuha and a high-end. But then you can also argue that the Netherworld, Demon World is stated to be endless by Koenma, verbatim. So if you argue the Spirit World or the Netherworld is just like it, you can argue Yakumo threatened something similar. So again, and also again, Yakumo, that movie's not canon. So I'm trying to be fair to both. I wouldn't even use Hellverse for Bleach either, depending on how you feel about that. Yeah. The gap between him and Sensui Alone was 10 times. So they said there could be an argument for Yusuke. So argument passing Ichigo. If 3 realms was Ichigo's limit, fortunately, Ichigo's limit. The exact size of Bleach's realm is unclear, but likely larger than the realms that Yakumo threaten. Ichigo still supersedes. Yeah, see, we don't know that. Because we know in the novel, there was an infinite-sized universe, likely. Or you could argue it's infinite or observable. The Soul King split it into 3. That's what happened. Okay? The Muken is infinite. So it likely could be 3 infinities, or it could be a larger infinity separated by 3 borders. Depending on how you, and the 3 borders are separated through a variant of space-time. However you want to interpret that. It could be a variety of ways. So the realms in Bleach have an implied scale. But I wouldn't say it's larger, because we don't know if the demon world is infinite. The netherworld likely is infinite as well. So again, both, I wouldn't say it's exceeds. They're just about the same. It's just the movies, Yakumo being an A class threatening the netherworld in the human world is not the same at all, because that movie is not canon to the main series. It's not. Trust me. And it's like saying, well, Broly could destroy the universe and that was Cell art. Like, no, Cell is not universal explicitly, at least for the most part. Okay, maybe observable universal, but Cell is not the same universal as Broly. And Cell is confirmed stronger than Hachiyak, and Hachiyak is confirmed stronger than movie 8 Broly. But we don't treat the movie, Toriyama said it, the movie himself, the movies are in separate dimensions, meaning it's an alternate timeline. These didn't happen to main canon. So we don't treat the feats the same, just like Hellverse. Because then it just gets wonky. So Universal Yusuke or Universal A-Class like Yakumo, yeah, I guess. So, I mean, if you're going to combine them, then it's like, okay, well, that's kind of cheating, bro. Because, I mean, the movies, they just scale so differently. Movies always have insane scale. Thank you, Talking Koala. Hellverse isn't canon. Kumo confirmed it 3 times in his Q&A already. I don't know why people bring it up. So, I like what you said. Because it's true. Hellverse isn't canon. Kubo confirmed it 3 times in his Q&As. And why? Yeah, so why are people bringing it up? We shouldn't even use Hellverse. So Hellverse isn't even accurate to use. So no, Ukiora and Vassal Lord Ichigo, you could probably argue they're multi-continental, low moon level, maybe small planet level at best. But you can't say that they could destroy numerous realms in hell. It's not the same. That's true. That's true. But we still don't know the size of them. Hisaki, can't you fear the world? Each held unease and continued to run. Finally, he discovered non-artificial light breaking through and used Shunpoder. I don't know about each... Wait, what? Wait. 29 pocket dimensions, each containing a planet and star. That's not true at all. We don't know that. I don't know why I didn't make that statement for it. That's not true. What's the versus? What Death Battle's doing? Larger than Yusuke's planet-sized worlds. They literally say Demon World is as numerous as... has as many countries as numerous as stars. And I don't know about you, but based on... But look, there are countries in Yu Yu Hakusho that go over the horizon that are massively, massively huge with curvatures. For the most part. Including entire ecosystems, like canyons and savannas. So, if it was only the size of Earth, well, as numerous as stars in the sky, which is metaphorical for the most part, but still semi-literal, literary-wise, Togashi is a good writer, then it's likely saying that, hey, there's millions upon millions, or arguably billions of countries. Wait, countries? So if we go by the main, and Hokushin knows what a country is. So if we're I'm pretty sure not every country is the size of the Vatican in Yu Yu Hakusho. So it's like, there's billions of countries. Yeah, or what? They all the size of the Vatican? Because they'd have to be if they could fit a billion countries on Earth. So clearly, Demon World is far, far, far larger. It literally far larger. That's not even close to a comparison. There's already been calcs that show Demon World is bigger than VXY Canis Majoris. Or VY Canis Majoris. Just going off of Yusuke's speed feed. Because even if we assume Yusuke ran for 20, what was it? Yusuke ran for, even if we assume a low ball Yusuke can only run at the speed of lightning, right? Or even speed of sound, and said for 5 days straight, and they didn't even cross the entire planet. It's like, you know what I'm saying? It's just, that doesn't make any sense. It's way larger. Now, is it bigger than the Bleach cosmology? I don't know. Because Demon World and Human World are all their, and the Spirit World are all their own universe. And then Demon World is not Limbo. Because people forget, yes guys, I'm telling you, Yu Yu Hakusho has Limbo. Not just the Netherrealm, but they have a world called Limbo. And they have another world called the Realm of Darkness. And they have another world called the Realm of Heaven. Realm of Darkness, light can't even reach an end. So there's numerous infinite type of realm. Then you have a fourth dimensional space, verbatimly stated to be fourth dimensional by Kurama himself, using the term Akukan, or the subspace. So Yu Yu Hakusho has a subspace, which is a higher dimension, and they literally have lower dimensional planar demons, according to Hiei in the Japanese and English dub statement. There's a two-dimensional demon that lives between dimensions. So I wouldn't say Bleach is explicitly always larger than Yu Yu Hakusho, even with the mention of the Muken, the Garganta, and much more. Without really putting them on a side by side, we can use bijection to say that on a one-to-one correspondence, 3 realms, and let's say the Muken is infinite. Well, if the Muken's infinite, Soul Society's infinite, Huecomundo's infinite, and the human world is infinite, need Genkai, then in Yu Yu Hakusho, we got the Akukan, the subspace, which is infinite, a fourth dimensional infinity. We got human world, which is infinite, obviously. The Netherworld, which is infinite. Demon world, which is infinite. Spirit world, which is infinite. The world, the realm of darkness, which is infinite. Then you can argue heaven, and then limbo. So again, just kind of saying here, Yu Yu Hakusho, then you can argue Bleach is hell. Hell in Bleach is infinite, just like the Muken is. So again, on a one-to-one correspondence, they're almost about equal. You could arguably say Yu Yu Hakusho, as far as established, confirmed infinities, Yu Yu Hakusho might win that argument in terms of quote-unquote bijection. But I just say they're about equal because we don't really know how big the other realms are in Bleach, and we don't know every realm in Yu Yu Hakusho, because there's so many different ones that just aren't making it on screen because Tagashi ended the series so quickly. 99% of people do not know about Kubo Club outside. Fun fact. He recently said teleportation can be fatal or instant death for the verse if they mess up. So if they teleport into a tree by accident. That's kind of funny. Death Battle should have featured Jiren versus Sentry instead of Cell versus Metal Sonic. That would have been a good fight. Death Battle seems to wank or downplay according to what they think public consensus is, even if it's popular opinion or is dead wrong. Would you say they wanked or downplayed Ichigo to Death Battle? Good question, user. In my opinion, they did Ichigo some justice. They did Ichigo some justice. But I would say they still lowballed him. Yusuke, they lowballed too, to a degree. They highballed him a little bit with some statements like, oh, destroying the human world is as easy as destroying an anthill. Alright, cool. Are you going to use that in the scale? Are you? No. So why you even mention it? Like, dang. Yeah. But yeah. a lot of people macadamia. Yeah, I agree. Let's see chat. I'm reading chat. Ben 10 versus Hal Jordan. Oh yeah, tell me about it. That was terrible. Let me just see if I could find additional stuff I wrote before. But yeah, let's see here. All right, chat. Let's see here. Gonna take a look here. All right, let's take a look, chat. All right, let's see. But yeah. Overall, I'm not going to say that either realm is higher. I think both of them are equal. I think cosmologically wise, Yu Yu Hakusho and Bleach are kind of on the same page. Bleach has better high ends though. Mid end for mid end, Yusuke and Ichigo are closer in combat than given credit for. But high end to high end, oh man, Bleach is comparable to Dragon Ball. Bleach is almost comparable to Buu Saga Dragon Ball on the high end. I'm gonna say that clear. Because we got low end, mid end, and high end. Low end, for if we go by low end versus low end, Bleach wins over Yu Yu Hakusho. Mid end Bleach versus mid end Yu Yu Hakusho using conservative scaling. No Yuha is destroying all three infinite realms. More like he's a linchpin. And if we go, because again, you have to ask yourself: is Yuha billions upon? No, if Yuha quintillions of times stronger than Grimmy, who threw a meteorite and everyone was like panicking over a meteorite, which even if the meteorite was the size of the Serete, I've already done the math. It would have been numerous petatons to small exatons of TNT. So it would have been enough to dismantle most of the gravitational binding energy of the moon, depending on how you interpret its speed. But it wasn't that quick. It wasn't moving at light speed. So chill out. But the mass of the meteor, Kenpachi cut in Shikai. We know Kenpachi can get 10 times stronger in his Bankai. We know Ichigo and Yuha are kind of like Super Saiyan God Goku and Beerus, where they're just on an order of magnitude above every single character in the verse. So are they like hundreds of times stronger than everyone else? Oh yeah, for sure. I don't disagree with that. But even that alone would not give you universal level scaling. So I just think that they're consistently, like, I think like Gerald is like massive star level, arguably going into the solar ranges maybe. And I think Yusuke and Yuhaba will be multi-solar system level in terms of like raw power on a conservative mid end. Just like eyeballing it, right? We're not gonna go too crazy detail in the transitive property and why. But Yu Yu Hakusho, again, mid end for mid end. If we're taking Sensui treating the Earth like an anthill, do you realize that metaphor, assuming it's hyperbole, doesn't really change much. That Yusuke still is going to be massively close to star level, so Yusuke still is going to come closer to those levels. But we also have to factor in that, unlike, so Bleach and Naruto fall in the same category, where a casual attack from most characters in Bleach aren't doing as much AP as their powered attacks do. Whereas One Piece and in Yu Yu Hakusho, a punch from Yusuke has the attack potency of, like for example, if Sensui's aura could destroy the human world, the punch from Yusuke is 10 times above that when he's in S class. So again, a simple punch from Yusuke, or Yusuke's aura alone will kill you. If you're an A-class multi-continental level being and you go next to Yusuke, you die just from going next to him. Not that Ichigo can't do immobilize you with Reiatsu, but to the same magnitude of how powerful the aura is in Yu Yu Hakusho, I don't know, man. I'm just gonna have to say that Yusuke is more casual. So when we go back to the argument, effort matters. Just like Luffy is dishing out continental level punches easily, and Yusuke's punches are dishing out also planetary plus level punches. I don't think Ichigo and Yuha are dishing out that same level of power each attack. Okay, sorta. They kinda are, low-key, at their max. No, I'm not gonna lie. But to the same degree, not the same. Now, when they power up an attack, like a Getsuga Tensho, yes, they start hitting ridiculous numbers. Just like Naruto. Naruto isn't throwing out planetary punches, but once he whips out a Rasen Shuriken, that thing starts hitting star level. You know what I'm saying? So, going by this framework, right? That is why I mean, like, it's an interesting point. But I would say on a one-to-one correspondence, Ichigo has probably slight advantage in that. But if we say Sensui destroying Earth is like kicking an anthill, and we compare that to like real-world mechanics, and we take it hyper literally, then mid-end to mid-end Yusuke and, you know, I can get, not that he is, but I can argue for a multi-solar system Yusuke. I can argue that if we are taking it literal, and if we're taking factors from the subspace in Yu Yu Hakusho and many other variables. So I can argue they're the same. I can actually argue they're closer in combat. But I still say if I had to actually choose an outcome, I'd say Ichigo wins 55 times out of 45. But it's a very, very close matchup. Just like how I said, right now, Naruto wins 65 out of 35 times against Luffy. Doesn't mean that Yusuke can't win or Luffy can't win. It just kind of goes into that category where Ichigo has more going for him in terms of raw power. And if we go high-end for high-end, even if I assume Yusuke is like low multiversal in the Yu Yu Hakusho anime, a high-end Ichigo is arguably like 4D. So I know, it's stupid. It's literally stupid. Like how strong you can get Ichigo if you use the high-end. But anyway, Death Battle Metal Sonic versus Cell is gonna die. Oh, this is a Piccolo Steam Alton. See. Sorry if things got messy, but that's just how Ichi goes. That was the most cheesiest line, but I will admit this was a lit battle for sure. But it was still a goated battle, though. I don't think it was a bad battle. Though you can argue that Yusuke's soul would come back stronger, because Yusuke's soul is more powerful than his physical body, but we're not going to go there. Anyway. Anyway, do I agree with the outcome? Yep, I do. But do I think it was... But if we're using mid-ball to mid-ball, I think it's a lot closer than they gave credit for. So, yeah. But, yeah. So the only way, like, you really get... Like, you have to use a lot of assumptions and jumps for Bleach to get there. And unless Yu Yu Hakusho has a remake and we get more clarity on what they could do, we're really not going to see them hit that. But yeah, otherwise, other than extrapolations... I say Ichigo has the advantage. If anything, and like, the closer I examine their abilities and Yusuke's, the one thing, actually, I'm going to say it's a 50-50 because of one variable. Yusuke has a better adaptability factor. Yusuke, just because Yusuke feels like it, he can literally just jump up 10 times in power mid-battle. Which, in my opinion, I don't think Ichigo can do that. Ichigo isn't Saitama. Okay? Ichigo is not Goku. Ichigo does not get massively stronger mid-battle. Only characters who do that is Saitama, Goku, and Yusuke. Who just get random multiplier level increases mid-battle. That's what... Actually, I'm going to say this is an equal battle. And if I really, really want to be hyper-specific, maybe I'll say 51-49, Ichigo favor. So if we had 100 fights, Ichigo would win 51 out of 100, and Yusuke would win 49 out of 100. Saying Ichigo has a slight bump up. And I think that's actually fair. Do we agree, chat? Yeah. Do we agree that depending on that, Luffy, does he... How much... Halo Jeff, correct me if I'm wrong. How much stronger does Luffy get mid-battle? I'm trying to remember. Because I don't know if it's a multiplier heavy or if it's just slightly, like a small amp. But if we're talking tactics, Luffy has the best tactics out of it. Naruto. No, Naruto and Luffy has better tactics than Yusuke and Ichigo, in my opinion. I think it goes Luffy first, Naruto second, Yusuke, then Ichigo. Because Naruto is very, very creative. But so is Luffy. I mean, the amount of situations Luffy got himself out of is hilarious and crazy. So yeah, I mean, both are just like I think, yo, tactically wise, Luffy might be up there with my boy Goku. Like, he literally is the most... And I'm not even trying to glaze him just because Halo Jeff is here. I think Luffy might be that guy who could just think of some bullshit on the spot. It's hilarious. I could totally see Yusuke taking Ichigo off guard. A win is a win, Macadamia. Let's see. Cell Kamehameha crossed into outer space. Goku teleported before it materialized. Goku. In the manga, I get what you're saying, Alton C, but I wouldn't be that hyper specific because manga's cinematic timing is weird. But yeah, but mid battle growth is the most like the heavy volatility that just makes this battle equal. I still think Ichigo has the favor, but yeah. He went from losing to Crocodile twice in a row and came back stronger. Best example is Kaido versus Luffy. He lost 3 times in a fight and was growing in power the entire fight. Wait! Katakuri! Yo, Halo Jeff. Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't Luffy get stronger as he fought Katakuri and surpassed his Gear 4 self prior? Like, Luffy's base form just, like, jumped up because of just Luffy's anger and emotion like amped his power? Let me know. Because I slightly recall Katakuri being the best example of a giant power increase for Luffy. Just for no reason. Because, like, you could argue, oh, well, Luffy had to get Gear 5 against Kaido. I'm like, alright, but he didn't get a... He unlocked a new Snake Man tactically and was able to just get stronger. Yeah, eyes and plot. Yep. Let me do a poll. And yes, chat, the reason I'm streaming a little bit longer is to make up for the hours I missed earlier. So let's see. Let's do some win ratios. So, let's see. Let's see here. Let me see what you guys think. So here's what we're going to do. I think Ichigo wins, but some people might think Yusuke wins. Here, I put a poll there. Let me know what you guys think. Go ahead and start voting. Don't let my opinion judge yours, because ultimately, the most mature thing I can say is it's all hypothetical. Unless the writers Kubo and Togashi get behind the camera, we're never going to truly know who really wins. Because we could be thinking Ichigo is this strong, and then Togashi could just have an interview and say, oh, Yusuke never did, but Yusuke also could destroy all 3 realms in his world, which are all infinite if he felt like it. He could just say that today or tomorrow, and bam, you got to deal with it. Now you have a confirmed low multiversal Yusuke, even if it doesn't narratively make sense. Oh, but it has to be licensed. Says who? Togashi could just say, alright, it got to be licensed. Here, Soeisha, put this in an interview in a shonen manga. And as soon as it shows up in the data book and it's official statement, it don't matter how you feel about it. You can't defer the author your way out of it, especially if he covers any scrutiny. Like, oh, Yusuke doesn't do it at the end of the series, but technically when his mom and dad are having that conversation, at that time, he kept training. So when Yusuke's 30 years old, unofficially, he is strong enough to destroy all 3 realms. Wait, what? He is? Yeah, just because I said so. Wait, what's in the realm of heaven? Oh, heaven is infinite. The world of darkness is infinite. Limbo is a higher dimension. It is the 5th dimension, and it is infinite. And spirit world governs and holds all of that, so it's a higher dimension, so it's 5th dimensional as well. Like, if Togashi just said that today or tomorrow, it's like people just gotta accept it and be like, oh, well, I guess off-screen 30-year-old post-time skip Yusuke that wasn't in the manga, but Togashi establishes he exists, and Togashi just draws a picture and say, this is part of the serialization of Yu Yu Hakusho. So then, no offense to Surfbone can't disagree with it. Nobody else could disagree with it unless you're just going to be put as incredulity. You know? Or cognitive dissonance. But ultimately, nobody knows the actual outcome of the battle. We don't know because we don't know what's going to happen, how the battle would start out. For all we know, the battle starts, and first thing Yusuke does is he just decks Ichigo right in the face, and Ichigo is unconscious before he can even go into his other Bankai forms. But Yusuke wouldn't do that, typically. But what happens if he's just pissed off and just feels like doing that? Or, what if in an alternate battle, Ichigo is like, you know what, I'm just about to speed blitz him and kill him. Bam, speed blitz. Before Yusuke can even get his reishi up, slices him. We don't know the outcome of all these scenarios. So because of that, without Takahashi or Kubo actually writing it verbatim, it goes into what Stan Lee said. Whoever the writer wants to win is who wins. So I'm not going to knock anyone else's opinion. You could challenge opinions, but remember, it's never canon. It's just which opinion holds a more merit is typically what we'll go for. That's all. SJ Ryu Dark Demigra, I did see that. It was really cool. Yes, Luffy learned Future Sight versus category and was growing the entire time. Same for Cracker fight. He went from getting his arm nearly cut off to overpowering Cracker. That's true. So Luffy's up there. Now would I say it's Now would I say it's equivalent to 1,020 times fold? Probably not. But yeah, Luffy's up there. But like Yusuke is more like a Saiyan character. Because he can go from barely literally dying and then change the tides just because his genes awaken. So we got 5 votes. Most of chat believes Ichigo wins 60-40 consistently. I respect that chat doesn't say Ichigo slams. That shows that the chat is mature and they're thinking. They're like, Ichigo wins more consistently, but I'm not going to say he slams. There are scenarios in when Yusuke could win. So I like that. It's very balanced. Like if Taga like guys, what's gonna happen if Tite Kubo wakes up tomorrow, and in the anime, the 1,000-Year Blood War, he makes Yuha outer-versal? Could we say it's an outlier? Could you? Especially if Kubo... Now, after the episode, the final episode, Kubo gets behind camera and said, I wanted him to be the existential crisis of everything that exists. So I decided to make him beyond all infinities and possible infinite dimensions. If Kubo said that, would you guys believe it, or would you say, nah, you capping, bro? I'd be like, bro, you capping, low-key? But it'd be like, dang. Oh, Metal Sonic versus Cell? Which Metal Sonic? Archie? Or Game Metal Sonic? And, like, which variant? So similar to how Macadamia is very meticulous about scaling Mario, and that Mario can hit Universal, but under very specific circumstances, Metal Sonic is in the same boat. Nobody's gonna say Metal Sonic outright can destroy an entire universe. So power for power, Cell has more power than Metal Sonic. I'm just gonna let you guys know that. As a Sonic fan, Cell has more power. That's just... That ain't... Nah, we ain't gonna do this. We ain't gonna do that. Don't get me wrong. Archie Metal Sonic slams Cell. But nah. Nah, bro. If we gonna be talking about Game Metal Sonic, it depends on which variant of Game Metal Sonic and what feats you're considering all together canon. I don't... Let me see something. Hold on. Like, I don't know. Like, are we using Metal Overlord? Or are we use like, which one are we using? Because Overlord, you need to be supersonic to beat. So I guess it depends. From my understanding, the Sonic universe has wild scaling, but I haven't looked into it myself. It's Neo Metal Sonic. How is Metal Sonic going to copy Key life energy when he isn't alive? Atari, are you sure about that? This is Death Battle we're talking about. They'll probably will do a composite game Metal Sonic with IDW comics. I remember that Versus Battle argues that modern characters reach 2C level scaling because Eggman said that his invention was the greatest yet, which led them to chain scale a robot that fought supersonic. Yeah, that's true. Mario's advantage is that its odd scaling is due lack of care or vagueness. Scaling Sonic is just conflicting. I agree. And Shadow, Generations, Shadow beat Metal Overlord in base. But it's hard to say. I think Cell is stronger pound for pound. He has infinite stamina. But Metal Sonic, it's hard to say. What do you guys think overall, though? But yeah, I guess it depends. Yeah. I think it's going to depend. Because Cell can absorb him. His Chaos Control. Chaos Energy can replicate things like Ki. So people shouldn't assume that he can't copy some attacks. But then you have the Kienzan. Um, hmm. How can Cell absorb Metal Sonic, Atari? Cell couldn't absorb Android 16. He can, because Cell absorbed Goku. So, I mean, you can argue Cell could still absorb. Like, he could, like, take in people and convert it to himself. Unless you believe he can't absorb androids. But if Metal Sonic has some essence of life or energy within himself, Cell likely can. Can Perfect Cell still drink people? I mean, yeah. He just doesn't need to. He's cocky. He has Saiyan cells. So he's going to get stronger as the fight goes on. I think if we're using IDW and we're scaling off of Supersonic for Overlord, if they use Overlord, then Metal Sonic wins. If they don't use Overlord, I think Cell has a better chance of consistently taking it. Because Sonic is one of those finicky series where they either are, where they're either continental level or universal. There's those finicky series like that. Yeah. Yeah, Super Neo Metal Sonic lost to Base Shadow. If I recall. I think it's in issue 9. Base Shadow beats him. So. Depends on how you look at that. It's time like this that I'm thankful to be a Mario scaler. Ha! That's funny. Forget everything in GT except the power dance. Oh, you forgot. Hey, that's fine. That's the best part. I think Overlord beats Cell. If we use generation scaling, he's faster. But as far as like raw power goes, you know, it depends. And like, are we going to use the Cell that's in Hell? The GT? And if we're using Overlord, could we use Cell Max? Hmm. I don't know, guys. It's gonna be hard. But yeah, let's see, chat. Yeah, you didn't. Talking Koala. Well, I didn't even consider Cell Max. Isn't Cell Max a completely different character? That would be like using, sorry for my obscurely, Dark Mind scaling for 0, 2. It's the best example. I get you. I mean, Cell Max is a different Cell. With the same genes. Well. But yeah. But other than that, guys, I think that should about seal the deal. I think we kind of got a better idea of the consensus. But ultimately, our boy Ichigo deserved the W. So, where do I scale Ichigo? I think conservatively, he should be multi-solar system plus, easily. High end, I have Ichigo at multiversal high end. I know people are like, how is he that? That's such a crazy jump. I know, but it's Bleach, bro. It is what it is. Cry about it. So yeah, high end Ichigo, in my opinion, is competing with Busaga. Changed my mind. So, yep, that's pretty much where I put him at. But yeah, I hope that makes sense. And yeah, this has been a great stream. Absolutely, Ichigo is amazing. I mean, I like Ichigo's character because Ichigo, unlike most shonen characters, he's a prodigy who just wants to live a normal life. Naruto wants to be Hokage. Luffy wants to be king of the pirates. Goku just wants to fight strong people. Ichigo, bro, I just want to live a life and have a wife and kids, bro. Can I just live a life, man? Like, god dang, bro, leave me alone. Like, that's how Ichigo feels right now. It's like, damn, bro. let me chill, bro. By the way, chat, I was talking about Craftus while we were talking about this, just to get a little bit more insight about the IDW comics and Metal Sonic. So, we'll have to see. Do I think Metal Sonic wins? Yes. But I think it depends on the nuance of how you scale Sonic. Because you either say Metal Sonic scales to Supersonic verbatim. Supersonic's power varies series to series. So you either assume he's as strong as Max Power Supersonic, or for this story, it was a weaker Supersonic. Because that can happen too. Sometimes Supersonic can just limit himself to planetary. Like when he was stopping the Space Colony arc in Sonic Adventure 2. Or Sonic X. So it was like, yeah, he struggled with that and had to go full power, and had to power up. But then after, he's fighting the End, or Solaris. So then you gotta ask yourself, well, how strong is Overlord in comparison to Solaris, the End, Infinite, and the other characters, Razor Jin? So depending on how strong you think Overlord is going to determine. If he's just observable universe, then Cell can take it, because Cell's casual punches, for the most part, are way stronger. But it also depends if you're using movie scaling for Cell. Like, hey, we're going to include the Hachiyak scaling in Broly. But then, if you're using Broly scaling from movie 8 to insinuate that Cell is stronger than Broly because he's stronger than Hachiyak, who's stronger than Broly, then, yeah, Cell wins. But that would be associating a multiverse plus Cell, which I don't agree with. So I think Metal Sonic has the win. So there we go. SR Nova, welcome to the stream. Glad to have you in. But today, guys, I am going to be having to end the stream. We've went an hour extra over our time just to give you guys a little bit more flavor. So I hope you guys enjoyed the extra hour. It was great talking. Stay tuned for tomorrow, guys, as we will be talking about Dragon Ball Z. And I am super hyped for that. So tomorrow is Dragon Ball stream. And yeah, we're going to go crazy with that because, I mean, the sky is the limit with that one. But anyway, guys, this has been Atari HB, and today I'm going to be signing off. Thank you guys so much for stopping by, and again, for the donations and our donors here as well. Thank you guys for the support. Talking Koala being our donator today. Thank you for the support. Do appreciate you, and I will see you guys on the next stream. Be sure to like and subscribe and share this video with your friends and family as well, to get if they enjoy power scaling or small level discussions, as well as other topics we will explore in the future. I will be seeing you guys next time. Take care.